We're sorry for the delay. We're just finishing up with Chairman Neal, Congressman Neal Ritchie, on the pending money and the usage coming in from the American Rescue Act. We're very appreciative of his efforts, and it was also good to get together with the Congressman again. He's been a key conduit, and much as we did a tornado 10 years ago about rebuilding. So my apologies to that. I thank all the cabinet heads, department heads that are here as we continue our budget hearings. I know that City Councilor Tim Allen is on. Tim, thank you very much for attending in this budget session on it. I'd like to say to, I've said before, to all the cabinet heads down the rank and file and their families, I'm deeply appreciative of the efforts. Some have been by my side since day one of this COVID-19, whether on the front lines or in back office items that had to be done. We didn't miss a beat, so I'm very, very appreciative of that. And as we move forward, I'm very appreciative of Finance Division CFO TJ Plant, Melanie, Budget Director Lindsay, our Deputy CAFO. It's an award-winning financial division, and we're going to continue to be efficient, effective, strategic, but we will be compassionate in the way that we govern. This will be nearly a $750 million budget, and I'm proud to say, unlike other municipalities and other towns across the Commonwealth, we kept services going. We didn't lay anybody off. I didn't furlough anybody, and I think that's a testament to our financial stability and strength, though we have to be ever cautious on how we continue to move forward in planning. So we'll look to make sure we keep services going. We'll look to invest at that point in time. I don't know, TJ, if you have any opening remarks.
Nothing that they haven't probably heard before. We are still grappling with a $14 million budget deficit. But this is an opportunity really to come in and present as department heads your needs, your additional, your wish list stuff that you may have been looking at for a while, and just kind of have a chance to make the case for your department and all the great stuff that the departments have done. So I guess you want to start with, I don't
know if Councilor Allen, did you have any opening remarks at all? Councilor Allen, did you have any opening remarks at all?
That's okay.
Thanks for offering this time to be here. I haven't been able to make much this week, but I'm trying to make today's session. So thanks for the openness and for everybody showing up. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor. Thanks, Tim. So Helen, what did you want to do first on the hit parade?
We are excited to be here in person. The cat might.
Helen.
Oh. No,
she likes to back clean up, right?
The first individual department that will come before you, Mayor, is the library. Please welcome.
They'll take the longest anyway.
I have anything
Molly, you want to sit there or where we go?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to go first.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
And I'll be brief. I did answer all the new questions, and I did print them out so you'll have them, because that would take an hour to answer all of those.
Thank you.
I do have copies for you. You can have those going forward. So thank you very much, and thank you, I want to thank the mayor and thank the finance department for all of your support this year, for fully funding the library, and for keeping us going through this very, very difficult year. So just a little bit of our highlights from last year. We used our strategic plan and our strategic priorities as a guide, and we immediately began planning how to provide as much of our current service to our patrons, as well as developing new ways to reach our spiritual residents. And that started immediately on March 16th. And our staff took the challenge on enthusiasm, wrote grants to help with virtual programming, And when you have a chance, please visit our Facebook and Instagram pages to see the whole breadth of programming, leaders advisory services, and programs and services that we're providing. So we feel going forward, as we get into fiscal 22, the challenge will be to balance our new online virtual services, things like chat reference, which we added, curbside pickups, with in-house services directly open to the public. We have an online newsletter, which is extremely popular, and will most likely replace the print version we've been using to distribute about 800 copies monthly. Right now, we're reaching about 3,000 people with our online newsletter. And staff are already exploring all of this. And I have a hard time talking about that, sorry. And recently, I just wanted you to know that the Institute for Library and Museum Services directed the American Rescue Plan Act funds to the state of Massachusetts for libraries. And one of the intended focus areas for funds are communities that have been hard hit by COVID-19. So the Mass Board Library Commissioners is in the planning stages for ARPA funding spending, and to get a better sense of the needs of communities that have been hard hit by COVID-19. They will be reaching out to library directors, and I've already signed up to be part of a focus group. And so they're very interested in learning about the needs of our community, Springfield, and how funding to the library might make an impact on the city. So I'll definitely be reaching out to finance, to the mayor's office, and to community development to get their input on that. It can be a very informed discussion. So I'd like to also say that participating in helping our residents with vaccine appointments was very rewarding for our staff. And we look forward to exploring ways our staff can help with other city initiatives going forward. I think it was a new thing for us to do that, and at first it was frustrating for the staff because they couldn't make appointments, but once things got under control, and especially now that all the Springfield appointments, we're really hopeful.
I want to thank Molly, library staff, HHS staff, elder affairs. We got a lot of whether it calls or email or messages left, and how comforting it was when people called and you helped them, guide them through how to get the appointments, whether it was for testing or vaccines, and spend time with them. And so you can't put a price tag on that. And again, Commissioner Colton here, Helen knows what to do. For the governor, get us the vaccines, and we know how to get the shots in the arm. So that meant a lot, that customer service. I know you answered, Molly, the question is right, but just for the viewing public here, just a couple of questions that I'll go on. What type of funding were you able to get in? I know times a supplement to offset the operation. I know we did grants and stuff, so just.
Sure. I'll be brief again because I have a whole page full, but in the beginning, when we had to look for virtual programming rather than in-person programming, we applied for CARES Act funding that came into the ULC and got new cameras and new equipment and training so that we could go online and do all the programming. We received money from the Mass Cultural Council, the Public Library Association, for a program called Grow with Google, which deepens our digital training skills and workforce development. The private, or Springfield Library Foundation has been amazing, and they have committed for fiscal 22, $180,000 for library materials and $145,000 for to offset the general fund for personal services. And our Mass Board of Library Commissioners stated that the library's funding was increased by about 20% this year. So we're able to commit more funding from that program to offset the general fund to help balance the budget.
How did the, I know we started doing the curbside pickup. How did that go?
Oh, that has been extremely popular. We started on June 8th, and since then we have we've loaned about almost 200,000 items. since July 1st. It has been extremely popular, and we feel that that's something that probably will continue from when we open.
And I know you're still doing the COVID-19 protocols, the cleaning of the books. And
Right,
spraying.
yeah, we, in the beginning, we were quarantined, we were following all the CDC guidelines, and so it was 4 days for quarantining, and now we're down to 20.
Yeah. And then a couple things before I have TJ or Counselor Allen. You have the MeScan software.
Yes.
How that is, I know it's been improvement. How has that helped out?
Well, we haven't, that's a request for fiscal 22, but what.
How would that help out?
How would that help? Certainly. That is an app that patrons can download for free on their smartphone, and then they can download their library card barcode, and it's tied into a network, CW Mars network, so that they can charge for such without having to contact the staff. And that would certainly help with social distancing and reduce the lines that we have people, well, many times we have people waiting in line to check out. So it's a really good way to help with social distancing and avoiding contact.
And I know we've been able to keep all our 9 branches technically open
Yes.
with the online stuff on that. And I know you have another request here, AV stuff to upgrade Mason Square and Central Library. And I know that could be a benefit not only for residents, the city
Yes.
departments, and nonprofits. If you want to elaborate on that.
Sure. The presentation software that we have here was put in 2010, and is really, really outdated right now. And the community rooms are used, there's very extensive use. So I think it was fiscal 19, we had about 12,000 people attend programs in our community room. So we're also, when we opened the Forest Park branch with all the new presentation, up-to-date technology, we found that people, those rooms were used in January and February 2020 about 60 times each month, which you open, pretty much incredible. So we feel that if we can update the equipment, more people will use it. It's only open to nonprofits and agencies, obviously city departments. I know some city departments have used it. And especially, I'm thinking this past year, with everyone moving to remote virtual conferences, virtual meetings, I think there's more of a demand for that. And I think we would be well served to help our agencies in Springfield and our city departments, everyone to be helpful.
And I know that, and you answered in writing, a lot of the services that our residents would walk in to receive, a lot continued online. Right. On that.
Right.
And also East Forest Park Library, I know and I want to thank the Library Foundation too. They've been absolutely fantastic. I understand that another philanthropic or generous family will be making a substantial donation in the very near future for East Forest Park Library. And we also just discussed too about, since the facade, we did the facade over at the library, about getting some uplighting back there so people can see it. Right. That was on that too. So, TJ, any questions or comments?
Yeah, well, first, you do not have a technology set up similar to this, the branches for the community rooms? I hear that.
We only have it in East Forest Park.
Now we just have to build.
Right, then we have to look at that because things have changed with the.
Exactly, and especially Mason Square and the Central Library are our largest community rooms, and they're used.
Okay.
Can you send us a list of other community rooms that get used, or are those the only ones that?
We have a community room at Brightwood, and we have
16 acres.
A small room of 16 acres.
That's right, that is a small.
But we just actually renovated a little bit. We have a smart TV, which will work, but it doesn't have the kind of presentation stuff really.
Well, I think for usually we're looking to pare budgets down with money coming in. We want to look to make strategic investments, and this is something that we need to look at the library.
Right. Wonderful. It would be a huge asset to the city.
We purchased probably 15 smart TVs that are across the city now, and I think is a worthwhile investment in the library as well.
Great.
And then the only final question I have is just for the additional positions that you're looking for, the children's librarian and the new staff for the East West branch.
Well, I know we did, for fiscal 19, we did approve additional funding for additional positions to open the branch. So we underestimated how many people we need. It's an 18,000 square foot library.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
And you really need staff in each room. We have the team room, it's open and development. So we're requesting just to maintain current hours, a half-time staffing librarian. And working with the manager of the branch, she felt if we added another full-time children's librarian, we could add 10 hours to the library, add a couple of evenings. And you have to think of these words as a city license. As much as it is for the first stuff, we have amenities in there that we don't have in any other. The maker space, sound booths, ability, or tablet methods. So it's a resource for everybody. If we could ask them how.
Molly, I apologize, I have one more question. Mobile hotspots, I fully understand what you're trying to do. I just want to make sure. I guess, what is 23,000 buy us for mobile hotspots?
The actual hotspots themselves are free. They don't cost anything. It's for the data.
Okay.
And we have a few that we had purchased, 5 or 6 of them. And so we're getting them ready to circulate. We have to sign an agreement that they can return them. In the end, if someone doesn't return them, there's really no loss because the equipment doesn't cost anything to return the data off.
Anything else, Steve?
No, I'm
I'm
good.
going to turn it over to Councilor Tim Allen. Councilor Allen, I don't know if you have any questions or comments at all. You're mute, Tim. You're mute. Tim,
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't hear everything. So sorry if I repeat something. Molly, thanks for the update on everything. Is your staff still helping the senior center with the vaccine registration?
Yes.
That's still going on. That's great that you helped out. And what percentage of time is that from your staff to do that? Roughly.
Yeah, it varies from from location to location. We're finding that our branches are getting a lot of phone calls. They can get up to 100, if not more, a week, and are successful getting 40, 50 appointments. The central library, we're not getting as many phone calls. So the staff is really excited to help. They really, they have phones and they just schedule time for each staff member to be on the phone for a while to help. So it's a very, we had a patron who sent a note to one of our librarians at 68 telling her about being angel for getting the appointment. It's a huge help to people, and our staff really love helping.
Thank you. And just one question, besides getting back to normal operations, whenever that is, do you have any one big budget item that is necessary for the next fiscal year?
One big budget item?
Like, is there any?
Good question.
Right. Well, certainly we want, we want to have all our, current positions funded, and current hours and services funded. And as far as additional services, we really would look to get the presentation software that would be really helpful for everyone. Even thinking of the East Florida Park Civic Association, how much that would be helpful for them, and also some additional staffing for East Florida Park would be. It's really necessary. We didn't have enough staff.
Okay.
Extra hours.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. If there's nothing further, Molly, thank you very much. Thank you, Jane, library staff that's here. Commissioner Colton Harris, who's next on the hit
Thank you
board?
so much, Ali, for that succinct presentation. Here, I'd like to move to Mr. Belton. Mr. Belton, are you prepared to go next?
Unequivocally.
Thank you.
Now, Tommy. And I want to thank Director Tom Belton and Deputy Director Joe Vaccaro and crew. Even though with the COVID-19 precautions, they've been helping out veterans, and we did the Vietnam Veteran Day event, I know, which is near and dear to Tom's heart, being a brave veteran that served. And we did it in the pouring rain. And as some of the veterans said, hey, you know, we were in monsoon weather being shot at. And I said, that's the least we could do being out there. So Tom and Joe, thank you very, very much. So Tom, go ahead if you want to give a brief opening.
Yes, my name is Thomas Belton. I'm the Director of Veteran Services for the City of Springfield. And I'm here to provide an initial update on the budget to the Budget Department and Finance Department and respond to the mayor's questions.
If you want to, we'll go right into that then. I think you have, with this COVID that occurred, you saw increased services that were needed, Tom?
Yes, but the type of services that we saw were totally unexpected because we're local. We got inundated with calls that were really to be routed to the VA, but came to us and we had to deal with it. And we were like a clearinghouse for information for veterans and caretakers, so they would know what resources are out there and how to get in touch with them.
I know sometimes, Billy, we'll get calls at the office too, and you and Joey are great. They're from really out of town, out of the area, but they call Springfield to find out where they need to be directed to. So I appreciate that. Did you have an increase with funeral costs, Tom?
Yes, we did, Mayor Sarno.
Yeah.
Prior to the pandemic, the state had increased the burial allowance and they doubled it. They went from $2,000 to $4,000. So that is the major reason we have seen an increase in the funeral cost, as well as the veterans that have expired due to COVID.
Do you, with staffing, everything with COVID, I know we never shut City Hall down, technically we're still appointments. How is that going? Are you being able to meet the demands on that and for availability of the veterans?
We operate 5 days a week, 8:15 to 4:30 every day, and our office is staffed with technically competent people to do the job.
I know you've been helpful. I mean, Helen, through the VAX force, we're trying to make sure everybody, if there's any misinformation on the vaccine, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And I know you take some efforts in it to let the veterans know about the importance of taking this vaccine. If you could elaborate on that a little bit, Tom?
Yes, there were numerous veterans that when they found out that there were shots being offered, and some people thought the Springfield office was offering shots. So we had to explain to them that one, you have to be a veteran as qualified by the state of Massachusetts, as well as you have to be enrolled in the VA healthcare system to get a shot. And the VA followed very similar to the state guidelines. They started with veterans 75 years and older. and they work their way down.
Thank you. Now, we're getting back to funerals. God rest the individual souls of the past. You'd like to see some more money to help out on that, the burial costs?
We've transferred some money, but I think we're in good shape.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've definitely done transfers to cover it,
Okay.
and we'll be ready to
We'll be
cover
ready if
whatever,
Tom or Joe.
whatever's needed, we'll make sure it's covered.
Tom, I think you hit them all there. TJ, I don't know if you have anything or.
No, you just asked the question I was about to ask about that, so
Yeah.
I think we're in good shape.
If we get on that, that's. Counselor Allen, Tim, I don't know if you had anything else you'd like to add or questions or comments? Tim, you're muted.
Thank you, Tom, for your work and your department's work. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Counselor Allen. Oh, cool, thank you. All set. Sorry, you might need more God forbid, funeral money. Okay. Thanks, Tom. Oh, I mean that respectfully, because I still hate to catch your backhand from the top. Thanks, Tom. Commissioner Colton Harris, who's next on the hit parade?
Yes, well, right now, we are running a vaccine clinic at the Raymond A. Jordan Center, and so I'm going to let Sandy Federico and Elder Affairs go next, because he is so hopeful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Again, I said it before when Molly was up with the libraries and Helen, Health and Human Services, the Elder Affairs, you've been fantastic. That phone access has been invaluable. You've directed a lot of people there and you give them a TLC, tender loving care, and reassure them and help them. And those car parades are just great. I see it with the seniors, how they just feel to be out and being able to see people. You can't put a price tag. Can't put a price tag on that. Sandy, so why don't you open up, please?
First, I just want to, I have a copy for you of the
Answers, okay.
Like every department in the city, everybody took a beating this year with COVID. How it affected everyone is probably different. But again, I'd like to focus on highlights and positivity. My team was my personal and our departmental highlight because they never quit. They came up with ways to keep producing, to keep our seniors engaged. It wasn't easy, but it was done. A lot of creative programming, as the mayor mentioned. So we're really proud that we are weathering the storm. We didn't realize how empty our building was until the commissioner and the mayor agreed to let the vaccines come to our site at the Ray Jordan Center. And even though the purpose isn't the greatest of purposes, the building is alive. There's people in there. We feel there's an invaluable service obviously being done. So we're truly grateful. And every time we got tired and frustrated, Mayor, we looked to you and Commissioner and said, if they're still going, then we have to still go because we set.
Energize your money. Helen and I are good. Give us about 3-4 hours of sleep and we're good.
All that much, huh? So I don't have any additional requests this year, Mayor, but I would like to be able to fill the 4 vacancies that our department has. We're in the process of posting some of those now.
TJ, that's, you follow, okay. The other thing too, I want to thank Helen Elder Affairs, TJ too, you with the vehicles. We are still delivering meals to our homebound seniors, and quite a few every week we do that to make sure that they get their meals, and also it's a little camaraderie too, where they get to speak to somebody. So that's still goes on. And I know seniors and with the libraries too, people keep asking, Mayor, when can we get back to the senior centers? Mayor, when can we get to the libraries? Believe you me, as soon as we get the public health and safety on the COVID standards, as we start to transition back to school, as soon as we can do it, we'll safely and soundly, we'll do it. So,
We've served over 23,000, 475 meals as of March 31st.
okay, I know we've done the reunion, the car parades. I appreciate that. I know you've been doing online stuff, but maybe for the viewing public here, have you still been able to assist the seniors of trying to obtain employment? I think it was limited with the COVID-19, and your senior, the senior SID program. Can you just explain that a little bit too?
Yeah, the CSEP division normally does in-person trainings, and we have a job club. It's all reliant upon face-to-face. When that was taken away, we had to really come up with strategies on how we're going to place these folks. When, in fact, the community agencies we placed them in were also closed.
Yeah.
So our funder, the grantor, pulled all of our participants back and sent them home. So in order for us to uphold the integrity of the grant, we came up with trainings both through Zoom that required anybody that was in the program to take these lectures to learn more, to educate themselves, to better prepare themselves for employment. A lot of them don't have computers or that technology, so we had to come up with training workbooks, and there were assigned chapters, and after each chapter they would report in, and it was a way for us to keep the data straight and report back to our grantor that yes, in fact, we are still doing that. We are currently, I think we have 11 more people in place before the end of the fiscal year.
I know it's been difficult with COVID-19, places not being open, age factors coming into play. The other thing I wanted to mention, I know you continue to do wellness checks. I know you make hundreds of phone calls a week on seniors. If you could give a little update on that too. And I know you're doing online to seniors that have computer accessibility can be done online. But the wellness checks that I know that Helen tells me that the hundreds of calls every week.
We have staff that are working remotely as well as in the office, so that changed the dynamic as well. But everyone is doing wellness calls. The personal calls, you think in your head you're doing one thing and that's going to be the standout, when in fact it's the human touch, and nothing replaces that physical closeness. So the phone calls just give the seniors an opportunity to vent, to express their frustration, ask any questions they can. And that's been helpful, because when they heard the building was closed, they didn't recognize that CSEP, Outreach, Shine, they were all still operational. So it was an opportunity for us to reconnect with them personally, but also to give them valuable information so that they wouldn't feel that all was lost.
I think we hit it all here, and I know those 4 vacancies, we'll look to do something with that as we gear up the transition to open hopefully in the near future. TJ, I don't know if you have any questions at all?
No, they covered all the questions that we were looking to have answered, so thank you.
Councilor Allen, Tim?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I happen to be chair of the Elder Affairs Committee this year on the council, so I've been at the senior center a few times with the staff and for the parade, and been very impressed with the level of concern for the seniors and the vaccine registrations, et cetera, and the spirit that they've kept through the parade. You could tell the importance that staff has for all the people going through the parade. Gave them a chance to interact with people again, and I'll be glad whenever we can get the senior centers back online, because the human spirit that was coming through with the people Sandy's staff was just fabulous, and has been channeled into getting vaccine registrations, et cetera. So thanks for your efforts with your staff, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. And again, to Helen and Sandy, to you about having, the set sites for the vaccinations are extremely important. It's been run very smoothly. The governor has indicated to me the more vaccines he gets, he'll get them down to us and to spread them in other neighborhoods of the city too.
I think that's a great.
We went on facts and statistics, as we always do, and we had to deal right away with the underserved population, many times brown, black population that were not getting it or access to it. So we did that. We're going to continue to do that. Now we get more vaccines. We're going to look to spread it out. Besides the mass vaccination site, East Philmont, around before the governor's opening others around the area to take pressure off there. But Helen and I are steadfast with the governor, Lieutenant Governor, Secretary Summers, and Health Commissioner Monica Burrell that appreciate everything, but we don't want to divert. We want to continue to do the neighborhood sites. Now, we start to open up again, we'll do some shifting.
The neighborhood sites, if any of the feedback we're getting is they're so positive.
I like that. It's good feedback.
They feel safer coming to a neighborhood site as opposed to a mass vac site for some reason. And they're just much more comfortable going where somebody from say.
And just so when you hear where you get, these hundreds of doses, well, those hundreds of doses are now starting to add up. We're in the thousands now that we've been able to vaccinate. And J&J coming into play change the landscape too, because that's one and done, one shot and done. So very good. Thank you, Sandy. Commissioner Colton Harris, who's next on his parade?
Yes, well, we have Pam Peters, TJO.
Yeah, I get 3 guesses, the first 2 don't count, right? Okay, my pal Pam.
Hello.
I like the new hair.
Thank you. Highlighters are here again. Okay. Yes.
Go ahead.
So, I think one thing that I really liked what Sandy said, her highlight was her team. And I just really love to start off by saying, just a nod to the 15 most incredible people that keep us going every single day. Props to them. We not only maintain, but not necessarily by choice, but by demand, exceeded services, core services. So we certainly have had a battle this past year, as so many others. One of the biggest challenges for us was we're a group of 15, a team of 15 people. We have over 100 volunteers that provide about 1,000 to 1,100 hours of service with us every month. Early in the pandemic, they were laid off. We have, well, our building appears very big. It's not ideal for social distancing at all. We have narrow, long kind of hallways. And so to keep everybody safe, another thing we're so incredibly proud and thankful for is that so not one person and our staff was affected by COVID. So some scares, but nothing real, fortunately. So we have learned to somehow manage without an additional 1,000 hours of help. And that was a trial. That was
Completely, because you couldn't take any volunteers.
That's right. That's right.
And I know you.
That's right.
Thrive on volunteers.
That's right. They really are our lifeblood.
Yeah.
So volunteers do our day-to-day stuff. They take care of the animals. They keep our bathroom clean, our windows clean. They keep the environment welcoming. We don't have a maintenance or housekeeping person. So that was by far our biggest adjustment and had an effect on every minute of the day and certainly made for long days. The second piece of the pandemic that was unexpected is a real crisis in the veterinary world. So for those that don't know, nationally, but specific to Massachusetts and even more specific to Western Mass, there's a fierce veterinary shortage. There are not enough vets for clinics to hire, on top of them having to put in modifications because of the pandemic. And then a huge surge in pet adoptions.
Yeah.
You've probably seen a lot of times on the news. What many families and individuals did early in the pandemic was to buy or adopt to add an animal to their family. So that created a perfect storm for our veterinary community. And what we're finding now is really only people of solid means, solid transportation are really able to get veterinary appointments. Anybody with limited English, challenged with finances or transportation, doesn't have a long-standing veterinarian relationship already, they're not going to find access to a vet, period. They will be referred to an emergency clinic for an emergent situation. That is an awful lot of money, and it's typically minimally a 5 up to a 12-hour wait. And what we're finding is that because of a lack of other options, we have dear vet friends in the community, partners, they're referring to us just as a way to give humans some hope that there's an option for their family members, their animal to get some help. So many times throughout the day, we're locked with limited access due to the pandemic. Used to be just open door and really a fun family place to visit and see the animals. But since the pandemic, we've modified back to an appointment basis and mostly curbside adoptions and people reclaiming their animals and dog licenses and that. What we found is really a steady stream each day of the door buzzer ringing or the phone calling that people have an emergent situation with their animal. And trying to figure out how to be a safety net the best we can for those families, on top of learning to live without the volunteer staff, has been incredibly challenging. So I think we go from feeling like we are rock stars, like we're at the top of the world because we're figuring this out each day, and we're getting it done, and we're helping our residents and their animals. And then the next day it's like, we have to find one more fume, you know, and really trying to give everyone as much of a kudos and a round of applause in the morning and at the end of the day, because they keep coming back. So it has been extraordinarily challenging. It's also been really incredibly both exhausting and energizing. The staff has been very inspirational to keep us going. The volunteers telling us how much they miss us, and their life is not the same without us, which is so funny because they're the ones giving us all their free help. So it has been a very, very, very interesting year with a lot of lessons learned. We're fortunate to say our field services, we responded to priority 1 and 2 calls, those where a human or an animal's in danger, with 0 interruption. That was really our.
I know, Dan, like at times we've had direct from our officer to police when there's a negative situation going on. You're always great with that. And I always, you've never lost any passion since we go back 25 years of the old MSPCA days. My DA's office days, and you've done a tremendous job on that. And you also were helpful to me on those city council that put that puppy mill ordinance, and you were helpful to me when I wanted your input on a good piece of legislation. The CARES Act money that's coming in, TJ, that's going to be able to help them out with. Is there flexibility with that at all or no?
I mean, really depending on the need that's identified.
Because I know she needs some positions.
Yeah, so we'll work with Melanie and you and see
Well, first of all the additional needs, we
Yeah.
can talk about, given the volume, increase in volume, and so kind of what TDO's been going through recent years, and it's been a tough challenge to keep up with everything. But to identify the needs that we have, we can put up on the CARES money to identify, even with the recovery money, that we're looking to have. If there's strategic investments we can do in TJO that kind of sets you up for future success as we want to do.
Are you gonna be able to get a veterinary or vet tech for?
We have our full-time
Right.
Dr. Follett, full-time
Right, yeah.
veterinarian. The availability of vet techs and veterinarians is
Yeah.
very, very slim, but we would be looking for a very, like a 1 to 2 day a week
Okay.
part-time if we were to add in kind of a community medicine program that we're trying to
I
formalize.
see that.
I think eventually there's really great grant funding out there, but right now even entertaining the idea of finding time for a grant. I'd love to, if I can point out one thing on the
Sure.
request, and it's only $3,000. We have an individual, there's many there that I feel this way about. We have one individual, our vet tech, who her salary really needs to be taken a look at, and I would just love to take that. Right now, the city's commitment to the full-time person is only about $15,000 because most of it is grant funded. So this would bring the commitment up to about just over 18,000, I think, and the foundation would meet that 3,000 with an additional. But you mentioned the CARES. We did receive laptops for each of our ACOs, which was very helpful because it kept them out of the office. So they were able to just really streamline their efforts and become more efficient and keep everybody safe. So that was really nice.
I know Pam, you had, but with the adoptions, which was helpful to individuals and families, was there an increase on strays and stuff at all, or abandoned animals, or no?
No, not at this time. The national humane organizations are predicting a surrender crisis very soon when and if the housing protection runs out. And as well as what we're seeing now, unfortunately, just actually the last 2 months, we're realizing an incredible increase in surrenders. And what we found is that either people are getting back to work and the animal is now struggling at home. We're finding these animals haven't been well socialized, so when they go to meet somebody now, they're not a nice animal, and they could be dangerous because they've only been housed inside. And the third thing that I think sometimes you find living with an animal isn't your cup of tea, so our phone's really ringing off the hook, and sadly our good friends at Dakin have had to modify their services, so we're trying to pick up the best we can to make sure everyone has an option.
I know we did some energy efficiency upgrades that have been helpful there.
Yes, they have been, and I have to say I'm so confused about our electric bill, and I'm trying to have
You're not the only
Yeah,
one.
we are too, so.
I've asked for explanation. Eversource is so kind to me and just doesn't understand why I don't understand. So I have to say that I just sign off on the bill and submit it, but it appears to be, it's inconsistent of a $19,000 savings.
We could take a look at that.
But yeah, I'm very confused by it.
And then our rates, I know we try to be respectful. We're still, I think our rates are pretty, decent. We're low. I think we're low surround. I know it's difficult at times to raise, but how are we doing with that? I know we raised a little bit, but we're pretty low on the spectrum.
I think there's room, well, I project in the budget, there's a very, I really projected low for revenue. I really think there's a lot of more opportunity there in two different areas. One being, we have plenty of room to increase our adoptions, and I'm so respectful and appreciative for your hesitation to put any more burden on anybody. Our adoption fees right now are at least 50% below, if not much more, and adopting a pet is a choice. So we're still accessible, we still are providing a great package, and I think there's wiggle room to go up at least 50% on those. The other thing is medical. As we start to see more sick-owned animals that people can't get in anywhere, we are going to ask them what they contribute and have expectations if they can do something and where we can meet them. cost-wise, so that would have offset the costs. And of course, then the other thing would be the contract for the cities.
Yeah, that was my last question before I kick it over to TJ and Counselor Allen. The status, and then we help out Chicopee and Hoyle if that's state. Helen,
Is it okay to show him this stuff?
Yes, thank you very much for
This
the
is my notes are pretty great.
I sort of figured out.
So in
See
March
this
of
falling.
In March of 2020, Ed Cool and I had appointments with the new mayor of Chicopee and Mayor Morris of Hoyo. That was when COVID hit. And so we have not moved forward with those meetings. We clearly need to do that, and we understand that. Thank you, Pam, for your patience. TJ and Leslie call me once a week about the contract. Thank you all for your diligence. We understand that needs to happen, but let me also say that Holyoke and Chicopee are currently up to date with their current payment. So while we may want to increase, but they are not paying us
Yes.
based on a lack of contract.
I appreciate your efforts on that, Commissioner Coulter here. That's my question. Some you already answered, Pam, and things, so I don't know, TJ, you have any questions?
So actually, it's one question and then more, one to do a cost benefit analysis is, you touched upon folks not being able to find vets. And
Yes.
if they do, they have to have meetings, and then if they don't find a vet, the dog or the cat or animal gets sick. And you're talking about a community medicine vet.
Yes.
There's gotta be a cost benefit analysis that shows that if we do some preventative care for the animal, it will not be surrendered to us as a sick animal. There's gotta be some data or something we can put together to kind of justify. But I'm very intrigued by it. I think it's something that, I just think preventative health as opposed to
Yes.
emergency reaction because they say
Absolutely.
forget it. I don't know in your world if there's data out there that can help us kind of do that, 'cause I'd love to be able to do that.
There is. This, the community medicine is really, it's becoming, it's a national model, if you will. It's not quite that simple to just grab it and go, but it's something in our field that is being strongly encouraged exactly for that, just to stop these animals from coming into us when now we have to invest thousands of dollars or whatever to get them. And just to make it clear, most of the medical investment in the animals that are not owned by people is supported through the foundation for TJO animals. So I don't want to think that there's a big piece out of that to get, an animal back on their feet. But that would be the goal, is to find animals in their families early to help steer them.
I just might get
Towards
nervous
wellness.
about it is make sure the rules are in place that this doesn't become like, I bring my dog there because it's free and cheap or easy, as opposed to,
Really needed.
Yes.
exactly, those that really need it.
One of the ways that we hope that we can curb that is we're interested in almost exclusively, but not exclusively, dealing with animal control referrals. They're out in the field, they see a hot spot, or veterinary referrals. Or else a phone call comes directly to a supervisor that is fully vetted. So we see it happening at other subsidized clinics, and we share those concerns.
Not very treatment program.
Anything else, TJ?
No, I'm good.
Counselor Allen, Tim, any questions or comments, please?
Just let me see if I'm on mute or can you hear me?
Oh, you're good.
All right. Well,
Right?
thanks, Pam. Just a comment on the ordinance for Monday night. Thanks, Pam, for the conversation on Monday afternoon about that ordinance, and for all your support and all your great work with losing all the volunteers and keeping the operation going. So thanks very much, and kudos to your staff.
Thank you. Appreciate your support for that as well.
Thank you, Counselor Allen. I see a lot of people picked your brain on that one, the ordinance there.
We were ready.
Thanks, Pam. Okay, Commissioner Colton Harris, I think, last but not least, put your hands together for the elegant and eloquent Commissioner of Health and Human Services, Helen Colton Harris.
Don't stand. You don't have to stand. No, I really want to start out with my thank yous to amazing department heads that I get an opportunity to work with. Sandy Federico, Elder Affairs, Pam Peoples, obviously TJO, Tom Belton, who does an amazing job, Molly Fogarty. Every time I ask for something and need something, and I put in a telephone call, it happens. You can't do this work in isolation of each other, so thank you for all you do for the city of Springfield. Yes. So, Mayor, how would you like to approach this?
Helen, you can do whatever you want, Helen.
No, I think I'll simply start by saying it has been, as you probably know, a extremely stressful year for the staff at the Department of Health and Human Services. We've had many individuals who, like Elder Affairs, libraries, have stepped up and said, we'll take on additional duties because it's not in our job description, but we understand that it needs to be done. And they have worked tirelessly to make sure that my department continues to run efficiently. I think investment in the public health infrastructure is going to be very important. When we talk about infrastructure, there are some positions that I'm going to be asking for as far as realigning our public health response. There are a couple of positions that I've asked for that have not been posted yet. I look forward to that happening. So I will stop there. I think there are some questions here that I'm happy to answer if you'd like.
Well, before you answer any questions, if you have, Helen, not because you're sitting here, but for your team and everything, I just, tremendous leadership you've shown. I think a lot of times public health has always been to the wayside. And if there's any good thing with this, COVID-19, the extreme importance of having capable leadership, experienced leadership that are able to tackle this. And I'm forever grateful to you and the team, all that you have on the heads. I know for a fact that many other surrounding areas are following our lead on how we're doing things. So it's been surreal and it's been tremendous. You've been a great point person for me and always there. And I think you hit a key thing about infrastructure. Now, that might not be bricks and mortars, but public health infrastructure that has to be done. And I appreciate, the social unrest. We put together the the Office of Racial Equity to address that and some other things that we're doing. And the homelessness, where we were chided in the beginning and how we dealt with the COVID-19, we were commended on how we took the bull by the horns on that. So basically here on some of the questions, but I'm really looking at TJ too. What are your needs? God forbid we have to ever go through a pandemic. Then, assistance, you've been assisting every department in the city. You work very closely with our school department on that, all our departments there. And obviously, we might have seen a little decrease in revenues with the wage some for the restaurants. And if you're doing everything and anything with the COVID-19, the vaccination centers, and maybe, Hal, if you want to hit some highlights on what we've done with the homeless, there's some more on the vaccine, and then I also, that's the infrastructure that you want to do. So I really, I really, it's tough because we've been doing it every day.
Every Monday.
Yeah, so the positions, I know you were asking for a second deputy.
That's correct.
And I can't recall the second position that was requested.
So we had the marijuana compliance officer. I sent that over. That has not been posted. I did ask for a second deputy commissioner. I mean, one of the things this has taught me is that
Call Helen.
So I think that's an important position. I think an epidemiologist who had the ability to look at public health data, not just in maybe my department, but can help with data. in general, but an epidemiologist, at least part-time, would be great. Enhancing nursing, we're continuing to look at that. But overall, what I had planned to do, TJ, I have new job descriptions, and so I'm going to send those to be graded. And then we can talk about the possibility of how we can move that forward. I think the other thing is individuals who have gone above and beyond that I have not had the ability to compensate, like a Tony Petaway. I don't know how we would have set these clinics up without him. He just has been amazing. So just looking at how we increase the value of individuals and kind of monetize that in a way that they feel valued. So those are just some things that I'm thinking about. Health services for the homeless, we saw 1,000 less patients last year than we did this year. That has had an impact on that revenue. However, the health center, HRSA, has given us, I think, $500,000 or so to be able to support that revenue. So we have not had to do layoffs. Recently, the CARES Act, the American Rescue Plan, I believe, gave each community health center money. Our health center will get over $1 million. So that's going to be good news for our health center and our homeless individuals that we serve medically. So there have been some revenue enhancements. We did get $296,000 recently from DPH to pay for staffing that we need to do for overtime and those clinical assistants. Some of that we probably can move over as well. So we're moving forward with our homeless program, but we did see 1,000 less individuals, 1,061 less individuals than we did last year.
And we're like, it'll be a decade now, 10 years since the devastating EF3 tornado, and many people stepped up then as they have now, and that's something we want to look at. We've been there from day one, front lines, or back office stuff. So that's something we're very hopeful to try to address. And just for the viewing audience here, I know I glazed over it with the Office of Racial Equity. Chris Gonzalez is there to Helen. I put specifically in Helen's shop, and Brother Johnny, the mission on our street outreach to try to stop some of this overall gun and gang violence, not only with public safety touch, but just as important, trying to be proactive of people we can save. We just met with Brother John earlier in the week on that. So we continue with that. And TJ, we'll look at those new positions.
Yeah, we'll get the new ones.
And then we're going to carefully, you were there, Commissioner, with, as TJ was, with Congressman Neal there. We're going to, hopefully by the end of the month, the Treasury will know the specifics across T's, dot the I's, but public health will play a pivotal role, especially on the infrastructure stuff. So, TJ, I don't know if you have any questions before I turn over to Councilor Allen.
No, I've been handling Helen from day one in the pandemic, so I know exactly where she's been and what her needs are. So
Thank you.
Councilor Allen, Tim, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I think she already addressed what I was going to ask, which is what has this, COVID crisis year pointed out in terms of health disparities and things that would inform our budget this year or next year about things we need to be better at. We always talk about health disparities, and I think some of those health disparities probably came out even more so during the COVID crisis. So I think you already addressed that from what I could hear. So thanks for your work, and you don't need to answer it a second time. I think that was what you were saying before about healthcare for the homeless and things like that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Just what Councilor Allen had stated too, we based our decisions, again, public health, science, medicine, medical, and on facts and stats. Who was the first population that they felt that was in serious need of homeless? We didn't wait. We moved ahead and we just did what we had to do with the medical triage facility that we did. when the vaccines, we got our hands on the vaccines, Helen, again, who are the ones that are most vulnerable and need it right away? Others might be able to access. We've done that and continue to do that. Underserved population, and usually at times it could be the brown and black population. We've done that. So we're basing this on, as Councilor Allen said, there's been a lot of health disparities prior, but with COVID-19, it's been highlighted to all underserved populations. Well, with nothing else, I think that's done with the hip parade.
So I just wanted to end my presentation by thanking you. I think that it is important. I have talked to health commissioners, health directors across the Commonwealth and the nation. I happen to be on a couple of national boards, and there isn't always the support. And so I appreciate you, and I look forward to appreciating you more when I get these new positions.
What a wonderful segue. Thank you.
How do you say no?
Yeah. I'm on the hook now. All right, if there's nothing else, thank you, everybody, and we'll be back not too long from now, back this afternoon, and then we'll be back tomorrow, too. We're hoping to get this all done this week, if we can, and then we'll formulate it, make the announcement, get it over to Councilor Allen and his colleagues on the city council so they can do their proper due diligence on it and call their hearings. And hopefully we can get this budget done as we've done before, very early in the fiscal year. So thank you, everybody, and stay healthy. I want to thank Focus Springfield again, and is it Josue? Josue, thank you, and Stevie Carey and Brendan and Johnny Allen, thank you. You've been instrumental in making sure we keep city government going and transparent and public access, so we appreciate that. This continues my budget hearings. Today we have our brave and dedicated firefighters and police officers with the police and fire department that will present their budget. And before I go any further, again, I want to thank the police department and the fire department who have been on the front lines since this COVID-19 started, but myself and the back office work that has been done, we've never stopped. And I deeply appreciate not only their brave efforts, but also their compassionate efforts in this situation during very, very trying times, especially with the social unrest and policing initiatives that Commissioner Clapper is putting forward. And Commissioner Calvi, I deeply appreciate your leadership too, and your hands-on too. And the times that I am on a fire scene, you're there. I know you're there many a times when I'm not there on fire scenes, and also with dispatch. A tremendous job has been done with that. I'm going to start with fire first. TJ, I don't know if you have any opening remarks, and I know if we have any city councils. I know Tim Allen was on last session. I don't see any city councils for opening remarks. So, TJ, any opening remarks? We'll go with fire first, and dispatch, and then we'll go with Commissioner Clapton.
So this isn't new to anyone that's on this, so it's definitely the time for your departments to submit their budget requests and their additional requests if they have any to the mayor, and kind of tell the highlights of the story of each department. So it is your opportunity to really sell what you guys have been doing in the past year, fiscal year or so, and what you look to do in the future. And with that, PJ, take it away.
All right, I'll start with the fire department. So this year's budget fully funds the 284 positions, both line and civilian, with the fire department, and allows us to maintain level service to the city of Springfield. There was some increases in the budget due to increased cost of doing business. So one of the budget questions was about the increased cost of protective equipment. That's due to the fact that for the first time in 3 years, our vendors have had a price increase for protective turnout gear. And this budget accounts for that increased price of protective turnout gear, and it accounts for finishing our bottle upgrade and replacement program to replace our obsolete, aging out SCBA bottles that need to be replaced. This past year was difficult for us. The second half of the year, we had a large increase in COVID overtime spending. That has been reduced somewhat by the vaccine program that came out. We have, I ran the numbers the other day, our current is just about 40 to 42% vaccination rate within the department, and we only currently have one person out with COVID. The more people that take the vaccine, the better we'll be able to control the overtime costs associated with COVID. But at this time, it just is dependent on acceptance of the vaccine. Some other priorities that we have in this budget are replacement of our fleet vehicles. We've gotten in to replace 3 fleet vehicles this year in our capital budget. And after the first of the year, or after the first of the fiscal year, one of our leases will drop off, and we've already got another replacement slated to go into its spot when they maintain the vehicle replacement program for our line vehicles. We have a 1996 engine that is still in service that needs to be replaced. That will be done after July 1st when the next piece drops off budget. And then after that, we have a 2001 ladder truck that is nearing the end of life. Those are the next 2 priorities in the vehicle replacement program. Mary, you'd asked about the fireworks education. We do public service addresses and community outreach around the 4th of July. That does not have a direct budget impact. We do that every year. As far as continuing education in schools, we do not do that because there's no state-approved curriculum for fireworks education. All of our in-school public education is funded through the state SAFER grant, and you have to follow what their curriculum plan is to be able to maintain that SAFER funding and budgetary allotment that we get for SAFER. We recently graduated a new recruit class. They are going into the stations this week. They start in the stations. We've been able to help hold overtime down with those. As I said, we're at full staff right now.
So we're getting ahead of it, or staying with attrition.
We are even with attrition right now. We have no vacancies in the department.
And I understand that, I believe, as with the police department, we're the most diverse department, I believe, in New England, and we're at parity or above parity. And also on the OT, I know which police and fire had to do what they had to do, and TJ and I realized that on it. So we realized that. You've always been good about staying on top of it. COVID, you know, at one time in the police, we were down to 30 something plus. At one time, we were down 20 something plus. So
yeah,
we're fine on that. Yeah, the academies, just for the viewing public, Mr. Calvi and I would like to do even more. Again, we're associated, partnering with the state now. We're glad to have them in the Orchard facility. We only can do really up to 12 at a time.
12 at a time.
Yeah.
We anticipate doing a mini academy this summer with maybe 4 or 5 people, and another 6 possibly in January of 2022. Then it's all retirement dependent. We are currently a 56% majority minority department.
And the other thing too is that with police and fire, and I'm proud of it, and I know there's been some departments in Commonwealth, they've done layoffs and furloughs, never done that, and I hope I've never had laid off a sworn firefighter or a sworn officer on it, so we kept everybody going.
So we did have to suspend our wellness program this last fiscal year. It was unable to be maintained with the COVID pandemic. We did repurpose that money in this last fiscal year. We repurposed that to send 2 members to bomb school in Alabama, so we can maintain our bomb accreditation, actually get our bomb accreditation back for the arson and bomb squad. We fully intend to re-implement our health and wellness program after the COVID pandemic comes to an end. I was in talks with Springfield College to enter a partnership with them and begin a tactical athlete program with their training department and with their graduate students that we had to put on hold when COVID came in.
Yeah. And then you already touched upon the repair, the fleet apparatus. You're very good on that. I know whether it's out in Wisconsin or so we have a schedule on that, don't we, TJ?
Yeah, the fire department, we have a robust schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
So repair costs have gone down, but they haven't gone down a lot because with COVID and all the changing economics of it, the cost of replacement parts and steel has gone up significantly.
Yeah.
So while the amount of repairs we're doing have gone down, the cost of doing these repairs has gone up. So that it's a net zero gain on that at this point, just due to the increasing prices. As far as grants go, we've got the SAFER grant that is still paying for partially the 8 positions within the department. We've received one AFG grant to help try to offset some of the budgetary impacts of equipment, but those aren't guaranteed. Departments such as ours aren't guaranteed those every year, and we're continuing to pursue grants. We've got one grant now that we've been able to replace some safety equipment with, firefighting hose, some SCBA bottles, a new tri-band radio for command staff. So we're pursuing another grant to try to get 2 more of these command radios. So whatever grants come available to us, we pursue actively. There are unfortunately not as many grants for fire departments as there are for police departments in the state. So whatever one comes available, we go after it as hard as we can.
I know Congressman Ritchie's always very helpful, as is with Senator Warren and Markey, and we're never, as you know, Commissioner, we will not skimp whatever your firefighters need equipment-wise.
Well, you've been very good to us, Mayor, and we appreciate it. And this budget too, it has the replacement, the continued 50 sets of turnout gear to be replaced every year. Turnout gear has a 10-year lifespan, and every firefighter needs to have 2 sets for decontamination. So we're on a 5-year rotating basis for everybody setting gear so they can maintain 2 sets within date. So this budget funds that initiative as well. So we're still continuing with that as well.
And I think you already mentioned that the compressor on the air bottles, right?
Yeah.
We actually funded a chunk of them,
Okay.
just a couple weeks ago. I forget exactly how many.
$190,000.
Yeah, okay, so we're already moving on.
Just to kind of get ahead of it on
Yeah,
schedule.
okay.
But we continue to be out there every day, every night, and everything. I think I've hit all the high spots for the fire department budget. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, and I wanted to, your input was about that MCI building now, we're gonna move forward to get it completely demoed. That was my initial thought, to get it completely demoed until the developer said there's up, but no way do I want to see anybody further quoting me with a civilian resident or a firefighter on it, so it's gonna come down as soon as possible. The whole thing's gonna come down. BJ, you touched upon everything here already in your comments and a couple of questions that we had on. So very, very appreciative. TJ, have any comments?
No, I'm good on that. I'll just jump to the dispatch department.
Yeah.
So I'll jump into
There's no concerts on, right?
No.
Okay, all right, let's go to.
All right, I'll jump into dispatch next. So this budget enables us to level service the dispatch facility in its current joint configuration. Covers all full-time FTEs with a supervision increase, and accounts for, I believe, 2 additional computers, so we can start to change out some of the aging infrastructure that was left over from the before the move that we moved over. We were able to purchase 2 more this year, so we're going to purchase 2 more next year, so we can stay on top of the replacement program, so we don't end up with a glut of outdated equipment all at the same time that we need to replace. If we do a little bit each year, then we can maintain it without a big budgetary impact. The new building will enable us to better cross-train for call taking. The difficulty is now we're still on divergent CAD systems, and as we move forward, we've identified 4 vendors for the CAD system replacement. So we're moving into the next phase of that evaluation, which is testing and demonstrations from the vendors. So that's going to be ongoing, and once that is implemented, then we can have fully cross-staff for every seat pretty much, because everybody will be on the same CAD system. Right now, police are on the IMC CAD system, and we're on a Generac CAD system for the fire department. And once we're all under one unified CAD system, then we can really begin cross-training. Right now, we can cross-train the fire dispatchers to be call takers, but as far as radio interoperability, that's still a bit of a separate thing. Being in the same locality, we believe will decrease sick time usage due to the increase in morale and increase of sunshine. Being in a facility that you have better airflow, better light, and an overall better working condition with better supervision in one location, that we believe sick time will decrease, but it's a continuing problem with burnout of dispatchers and dispatcher turnover. We're currently staffed, but we are seeing a reduction in the workforce now from some dispatchers moving on to other jobs. We're going to have to, I believe, continually be in a hiring process for the next fiscal year to be able to backfill the stop loss that we're having going out the door at this time. Some people are moving on to different dispatch jobs. Some people have come up to their year that they have to move into the community and have found jobs that do not mandate that they relocate, so they're going to different.
How's the regional dispatch that opened up in Chicopee?
In Chicopee, we've lost a couple of dispatchers to the regional facility. We've had dispatchers that have gone to different agencies as well that don't require residency in the city. So we're continuing to backfill those stop losses. As we get more dispatchers trained and up to speed, then we can continue to fill up the supervisors' positions. But we just filled 3 supervisors' positions, and then we've now lost some more dispatchers. So we can't continue to hire dispatchers till supervisors till we bring the dispatcher level back up again.
And I want to thank you, Commissioner Kelly and Deputy David Wells, too. You really took the bull by the horns on this to really move that emergency dispatch center forward in the operation of it. And they are the front, they are the initial call takers.
Yeah.
And that's extremely important for fire and police about what, what's going on, what you're going into, and where it is.
With this new configuration and the addition of supervisors, that will also help us with managing sick or shortages due to people being sick, as the supervisors are fully trained and able to both take calls and communicate on the radio. We didn't have that ability before on a 24/7 basis, so having the supervisors will enable us to maintain our high level of service and high standards. Currently, it's 90% they answer a call in 10 seconds or less. The Springfield facility is operating at 92.33, so 2.33% above what the national average is for mandated call answering. So we're doing very well in that department. And with this new configuration, I hope to see an even further improvement on that.
You need the battery, you need the power supply, and then you already mentioned the CAT.
Yeah, the power supply is a key piece of redundant equipment. If power drops off, that enables all the computers, i.e. CAD and dispatch computers, and the radio system to stay up and operating when there's a power drop before the generator cuts in. So without an adequate battery backup system, when the power drops off, there'd be a momentary break in power, and then all the computers and all the radios are shut off. Having this UPS system enables us to maintain current consistent power across all these platforms. So when power drops, there's no, when the line power drops to the street, there's no power drop in the facility until the generator turns on. And, do you have any more questions on the dispatch budget?
No, this is just a long time coming, seeing the dispatch department come together, the way you envisioned it, and I know it's taken a lot of effort between you and your team to do it, and I appreciate you quarterbacking it. Commissioner Clapwood, I appreciate you letting DJ take the lead on the dispatch department or emergency communications, because it was one of the departments that was being left to slip through the cracks. And as the mayor just said, they are the front line of public safety, and now I feel like we're adequately staffing them and adequately funding them.
Very good. Billy, any city councils on? No. No, okay. So Commissioner Calvi and the team, thank you very much. And, stay healthy, you and your families, and stay safe out there. And dispatch, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good. Excuse me, thanks. Before we go into Commissioner Clapton again, I always do what slipped my mind again. I want to thank the financial team led by CFO TJ Plant, the Deputy CFO Lindsay, and Budget Director Melanie, the whole team here, it's an award-winning team, and we've been able to continue to be efficient, effective, strategic, and we try to be compassionate too, which is important on it. And with the police department, Commissioner Clapper, I want to thank you and your team for all your continued efforts. I know it's been trying times, and you put across a lot of initiatives proactively and changes. And we continue to work with any and all entities. And I have to say, just with the weekly stats, that for the viewing public, overall crime is down 21% here in the city of Springfield. The only thing that's up, and you hear Commissioner Clapper and I lament on it all the time, is felony arrest, which is the gun play, gangs and guns. And people know where I stand as far as the repeat violent criminal offenders in our, not all judges, but some judges. The court system needs to stop allowing them back on our streets and in our neighborhoods. Our residents and our business community of all creed codes and backgrounds don't appreciate it, and it's unacceptable. And just ironically, it was with Francina Brown of Families Against Violence. Each one of their families affected with the loss of life by guns. And that's one of their first major issues about why are these people back on the street. The department, we just had a great graduation, trying to stay ahead of attrition. I know it's been very difficult to get people to enter this honorable profession. We had some great promotions. We are, I believe, at parity or above parity, not only in the ranks, but also in leadership aspects. And there's been a tremendous amount of turnover. I think Commissioner, the latest column, which was a very good column coming out, 40–50% new officers, he or she, in the last 4 to 6 years. Body-worn cameras were the largest department in New England wearing body-worn cameras. So I know I'm still in some of Commissioner Clapper's thunder, but I know a lot of times you don't look for, or who looks for pats on the backs, but I want to commend each and every one of you and the rank and file for what you continue to do to keep us safe. And we'll continue to implement initiatives, and we'll continue to highlight the good the department does. If an issue crops up, we will deal with that issue. So with that, TJ, I don't know if you have anything else to say before I turn over to Commissioner Clapper.
No, I'm good.
Commissioner?
Chair Shelkerman.
Mayor, thank you, and thank you again for your support and continued support as you and I continue to bark at lack of incarceration time and the use of GPS bracelets for those who have been convicted of gun violence. It's the revolving door that's keeping that number up high, because we're certainly making the arrests, and the women and men here are working very hard. So it's a shame that they don't get any time, because they come right back, and it actually emboldens them, and it's making it more dangerous for the citizens of Springfield and for my officers. So I thank you for joining me on that crusade for a little bit of incarceration for especially the violent gun crimes. Mayor, as you know, we just did graduate 31 recruits in March. We have a proactive effort to combat attrition and to cover all 3 shifts adequately so the citizens are safe. We continue to provide around-the-clock service during COVID-19 while mitigating exposure to the officers and residents. I went to the use of one-man cars. I went to sanitizing cars between shifts, between transports. We had a mandatory mask order. We organized units in different buildings, and we were able to pull a department through the worst of COVID. We have a fully implemented department body-worn camera program. It was recognized by the DOJ that gave us some funding for the body-worn cameras. We were recognized, along with the city in Florida, as being 2 of the largest departments that continued the training right through COVID, so we didn't miss a beat. We replaced outdated security cameras, installed additional cameras in strategically placed areas throughout the city to help our crime analysis unit in solving some of these crimes. We integrated a brand new firing range into the annual in-service training for all officers in the current recruit class. And I will tell you, we had a tour there 2 days ago for Smith & Wesson corporate executives, and they were so impressed with it and thanked us for it. And we allowed them to take some pictures for their magazine that they publish. And they were just honored that we kept some of the original Smith & Wesson design in that firing range. We completed the scanning project of over 30 years of arrest records. 2 million pieces of paper have been digitized and archived so that we have room in our records bureau, which was important for the body-worn camera program. We instituted the first ever peer-to-peer training as recommended by the DOJ, where officers have the ability to speak to specific trained officers after a traumatic incident directed through the proper channels 24/7. When I go to these IACP meetings, Mayor, not only do they talk about in-line of duty deaths, but they mention suicides. Suicides are high in our field. It's due to a lot of things, from the beating down of the profession to the dangerous of the job to the COVID situation. And we've had 90, I believe, in-line duty deaths this year, but we've also had over 30 suicides. So the experts I talked to preach the availability of an officer someone can talk to before they go home at the end of their shift. And that's the program that we've implemented. We started the initial phases of switching over to a different model of a firearm, realizing significant savings a year in department budget, retired and replaced 3 of our canines. The canines all became of age a little bit at once, and we continue to replace them. I see a real value in the canine unit. So for fiscal year 22 budget, our request, it would fund a total of 600 full-time employees. 512 are sworn and 88 are civilians. Funds a multitude of critical department initiatives, including what we may have to implement as a result of a DOJ settlement, perf recommendations, including early intervention software to allow us to identify patterns of use of force, rudeness, or other undesirable behaviors. This was recommended to us over a year ago by perf. I agreed with it. We do it somewhat manually now, but there is software out there that can help us track that. Scan of all sworn training records currently held at the Academy. This is a perf recommendation. I'm sure it'll be a recommendation by DOJ to have all training records and other reports digitized so that they can be searched electronically. We added 1 captain to the Academy and Training Division. I felt that was a very necessary position that we needed. I'm going to task him with a lot of this digitizing and keeping of records so that whenever called upon, we can quickly and more easily produce either training records or use of force records or whatever someone's looking for. Funding includes cloud-based storage of all evidential data recorded by the cameras, funding for replacement shotguns, rifles, and 4 new canines, continued operation of the real-time crime analysis center, 6 square miles of shot spotter gun detection system, an academy of 35 new recruits to fill the current vacancies and anticipated vacancies. Mayor, the problem with that is I hope to certainly get an academy next year, but the realization is that only 120 here have paid and have dedicated themselves to taking that exam. And we go through quite a few candidates to get a class of 35. So we've been trying hard to recruit and pick that number up, and hopefully we can get 35 qualified candidates. Funding for a proactive replacement of essential police equipment, which includes the ballistic vests, AED devices we carry, computer hardware, and other critical supplies. Funds the necessary supplies and services required to meet operational skills of all our divisions. To ensure the department is able to provide seamless policing services, including community issues. And that's where we get into the fireworks detail and the dirt bike nuisances. And to fund those in particular areas as an overtime. It takes a lot out of my overtime budget. It seems to be the only way we survive and being able to provide that service, because basically the call volume here is still high. I would say on average in the nice weather, we still average 400 or plus calls per service per shift. So the cruisers that are out on duty in the city are going call to combat the dirt bikes and to combat fireworks or any other city ordinance violations that may pop up. It usually takes an overtime unit. COVID brought a unique state situation to our department, and luckily we were a bit prepared to take on the challenge. We went from 2-man to 1-man cars. We moved units out of the building, so if we had an outbreak here, we all wouldn't suffer from it at the same time. We got the mask mandate order, and thanks to you and thanks to BJ Calvi, and it was Commissioner Calvi helped me out greatly in obtaining and securing enough PPE. And we now have a stockpile should we run into this again.
Mr. Clapper, can I ask a quick question on the dirt bike
Sure.
unit? We'll continue to partner with our friends on the state police, the Eye in the Sky, the helicopter too, because that operation you ran was very, very good, and it sent a message. I know we can't do it all the time, but you start grabbing 20-something bikes and 17 arrests, it sends a message to think twice.
Absolutely. We had a good working relationship with state police. We continue to have that, and the Air Wing enjoys it. They enjoy working with us, and it was a way for us to stay away from pursuits of these vehicles, yet monitor where they go so that we could capture them later when they get off the dirt bike or the bike, and it's a lot easier. So thanks to the state police and their Air Wing, and then they also provided some additional units to us. We've tried, one of your questions, counting the recruitment is absolutely an issue here. And we have teamed up with Focus Springfield, have teamed up with another PR firm. We have gone to college fairs. They're just not turning out. And it's a couple reasons, I'm sure, besides the profession taking a hit in new reform bill and one mistake and a split-second decision, and you could be decertified and you could bring shame and embarrassment to your family and to you. And it's a tough requirement, especially of a young person coming out of high school to try to grasp that we give you a gun and we give you equipment and we say, look, you got a split second to make a good decision here, or it's really going to cost you. So it's not a desired profession right now. I'm confident the pendulum will swing back, and it will be once again. We have gotten out on Facebook. We have made commercials. We have made radio commercials. We have tried to show you the good things that happen here. The BHN work we're doing, the enduro bikes that you can go out on, the new vehicles we have. So I hope that it's maybe a 1-year drought here, and then the recruitment will start to pick up.
I know that Commissioner, with Deputy Daniels and with my Chief Diversity Officer, Attorney Tully, have been out there too, and they were out there even more prior to COVID-19, going in unique venues, reaching out to unique populations, saying, hey, high school, we need you to be part of our team. And that's I know you've done the media, we've done all this stuff too. I know you've done grassroots too, and I know you said 120 a pay normally. I guess you'd indicate to me usually that list is 400 to 600. Now you're telling me it's 120 paid. Earlier on you said there was only 30 or 50 on there. This is still a low number of 120.
Yeah, it's a very difficult number if that's how it ends by the time the test is taken. By the time we do our background checks, our psychological checks, and the physicals and the physical fitness routine, we lose quite a few candidates. So I'm hoping maybe there's a last minute spurt here and we get more signed up. But you're right, COVID has limited our in-person ability to recruit, especially from our own schools.
I would, if we're able to get this another academy going, will we? I know you've faced a lot of retirements that are occurring, some unexpected. will we be able to stay ahead of attrition, or are we starting to lose the attrition war right now?
We're gonna, if I can get another academy of 35 in before the end of this fiscal year, we're gonna stay right even. You know, I'd like to get ahead of it and have some leeway, but I never quite get there. I stay about even. What's gonna hurt us too is, I believe they've done 7 background checks for Springfield police officers who now want to become state police. So you're gonna lose a handful there too.
I understand some might go to fire too, I understand too.
And we've had officers that have taken the fire exam that could hurt me too, yes. So I really I'm looking forward to putting 35 in this fall, and that would be to just keep even.
You've been able to keep up within reason. I know we did some Easter events, the C3 policing, which has been really, really effective. I know it's been cut down because we haven't been able to interact as much with our neighborhoods on that. And another popular thing that was implemented, one of our initiatives with Commissioner Fitchett some years ago, the quality of life, the Flex Squad, the Ordinance Squad is much beloved in our neighborhoods. I appreciate those efforts. And to the viewing public, once we defeat this COVID-19, those C3 outreach initiatives will come back full. But right now, it's been a little difficult for the interaction. Commissioner, again, we were going to one-person cars at one time, and during the height of COVID, I think we were down nearly 30-something or 36 officers at one time. So, so we plan to get back on there. I'm sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
That's okay, sir. And I think my best tool might be getting this last class out into the public as soon as I can. This last group of 31 also expressed to me that they are willing to go out and recruit. And they be one of my better tools when I can get them out into the schools. As far as the DOJ recommended initiatives, Mayor, without getting into where I'm at or where we're at with your law department in negotiations, I will tell you it's looking like it's probably going to increase a couple positions here at the police department. They certainly are interested in my ability to digitize and to electronically recall records for them. And it may be a little bit more than that in personnel, but it's very active. We try hard every week to meet their demands and what they're asking of us. And I will say they have given me some leeway here too on some things that I have expressed that are pretty much impossible with my budget and personnel at this point in time. But it's still a work in progress, but it certainly probably will be a couple of full-time positions. The software and the captain's position I made with Captain Kane out at the Academy and Training, which I think that'll be valuable. Captain Kane out there will be able to develop a lot of the curriculum that the DOJ is looking to have. And I was looking to have courses for my middle managers. So I've asked Captain Kane to do the best he can with putting together some curriculum so that we're up to speed not only with the reform bill and DOJ, but I think my biggest asset is some of the bosses I've made. So if we can get some help with AIC, they promised they had a COVID hit too. As soon as everybody gets back online, I think I'll have a nice course to offer for my middle managers. The training manuals and document scanning are one-time costs only. Let's see. The body-worn camera program, as I said, fully rolled out. Everybody's wearing them. I have a audit unit going that checks the body-worn camera. The supervisors are checking the body-worn cameras every time somebody comes in. We have a very good policy out in regards to the body-worn camera program, and it has saved us much, much more than it's hurt us. I would say the one hurt we discovered. So other than that, we've been able to dispel a few complaints and to help with training in other areas. It's been a home run, and I will say that the officers have bought into it. 100%. Now they don't like to go out without it. So I thought that would be the case. So that's working really well. And we have 26 retired this year so far, 5 are projected. And again, I think I have about 7 who are planning right now to go to state police, and we'll go through the background. Technology, I have tried really hard to show, I think, the citizens of Springfield that anything that will help us, like that Custody Protect program that you and I saw, and the Bolo wrap that I saw a demonstration on, any non-lethal weapons that actually help us in securing people and in keeping people safe, either while they're being detained or while they're in custody, is the way to go. We have added we're trying to get the school department cameras online with crime analysis. I think that would be so important if you had an incident at the school, to be able to live time what's going on in that school, especially if you had an active school shooter or an active assault. Crime analysis can tie right in. We're using car tracking, cell phone recovery, video recovery analysis, signboards, and we're looking to expand Shot Spotter. COVID-19, again, we're getting the cars cleaned all the time. Cleaning material here, Pat Sullivan's been wonderful. We clean the cars, and the air carriers that are placed in the building are helping out tremendously. It's helped keep our COVID numbers down.
Commissioner, TJ and I had a question on, I thought hooking up with the school department cameras, thought that was good. Is there a legal question on that, or is it just?
What's an operational issue? What's the issue of being able to stream into the school department's cameras?
The school department disagreed with a little bit of the MOU, and then it got a little bit sidetracked because they weren't in the schools.
Okay.
So it kind of got waylaid a little bit, and now that the schools are real, we jumped right back on it. And I think we have an MOU that we all can live with, so that we'll be able to tie in shortly. They're working on that now.
Okay, I just want to make sure it was an issue that we can't resolve. So that sounds like you've already resolved it.
You know, no, we're good. It's just a little bit of the MOU on who uses it, who can see it, who records it. But I think that's straightened out now that they're back in school. I think we'll be all set.
And this, the last graduation class we had, boy, one of the most diverse representation, especially with the female representation, but across the board, and the promotions. Captain Martinez, congratulations to you. When you looked at the lineage of those promotions and the high school, Central, high school commerce, the all recent, even one of your sergeants said, which made me feel in a way, Mayor, you gave me my high school diploma here at Symphony Hall. You welcomed me as a new graduate of the academy here at Symphony Hall. And then you, Commissioner Clapper, promoted me to sergeant, and I hope that, Lieutenant Don Rice. Well, I hope I'm going to be here too on that. So I think they bought in with the mid leadership we have, how important role that plays on it. I know that City Councilor Tim Allen, he was on the earlier session. Tim has joined us, so I'm sure he might have some comments and questions when we finish up here. But I'm deeply appreciative. I know we'll continue to work very hard with DOJ and some of those meetings that we're in, and I hope we'll come to a mutual beneficial agreement moving forward. I have to say, I think your column will be out very shortly. I don't think we've had one registered complaint since you've completely overhauled narcotics 2 or 3 years on it. And again, they're wearing the body-worn cameras. And I think that was something from Commissioner Fitchett years ago about the transparency from both sides of exactly what occurred and what did not occur. Our checks and balances picked up an issue that we brought to light and also dispel some things moving forward. TJ, I don't know if you have any other questions.
Yes, a couple questions, Commissioner. Is Quebec team fully up and running in the school department now that schools are open? How's that working out so far?
I've gone by what Dan Warwick has asked of me so far, TJ, he wanted the boss back in 6. So I gave him Supervisor Sergeant Feliciano back in 6 Quebec. April 26th is a date that he's going to require 3 or 4 more. And then we just wait to see what they do at the high school. So we've piecemealed the Quebec officers back to him.
Okay, thanks. And then ShotSpotter. I think there's a request to expand ShotSpotter. Is there something, I guess, have you identified a neighborhood or a section of the city that needs it next or most? I know we did a mile radius or broken up mile, but we did it recently. Is there another area that we need to move on to for ShotSpotter?
We're looking to go more towards the XD Forest Park area, Commonwealth, and that way. I'd like to go that way, and I'd like to go a little bit further on Boston Road.
Then my final question, vehicles. I know there's a need, a constant need, since you went to one-person vehicles. How many vehicles are you looking for? I guess, how many vehicles do you need critically? You need
I think we're looking for 16 vehicles, TJ, and it's because we have a nice spare set available to us, and then when we went to the one-man cars, we used everything. We kind of beat up some of those spares, so we're looking for 16.
Okay. And then I know in the back of my mind, since we talked about it in Capitol, is trying to figure out a way to get a police headquarters through the state, through the federal government, through some bonding, and trying to figure out that solution to finally get a building that's up to date. And I know you'll be there to support us to get the study done. It's just a matter of figuring out funding. I'm hopeful with the infrastructure money that's going to be coming from the federal government that could be a big part of it.
I think that Billy hasn't sent it out already prior with Congressman Neal, again, to remind cabinet heads to put together your capital needs. I do feel that they're going to get that infrastructure bill through. And Richie told me we want to be ready to roll. And I already have things in mind that we're looking to do immediately. But we want to make sure all the cabinet heads put in so we can see what we can do on the police station. Again, the governor, that is in the bond. I think we told him, I said, listen, I'll pay half. So we would pay half of it. But that again was a few years back. So if they release it, then we can start planning to build a new police facility.
Yeah, so my hope is the state's going to do the same influx of infrastructure money that we get, and then ultimately releases their portion. Because by the time the way construction is going, a $90 million facility is going to be a $120 million facility in no time. So the more strategic we can be on the funding side, I think the more realistic it becomes.
And that's a lot with the material costs. So that's it. Again, I really appreciate City Council Tim Allen, who was on the earlier session, and he's jumped in now. So Tim, I don't know if you had any. We already had done fire. Any questions or comments of Mr. Claflin or Police Department, Tim?
Yeah, I have 1 or 2 questions. Thanks. I just couldn't get here at 1 today. I had something else, but so fire's been done. This is the police was 1 second. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So Cheryl, just in general, what is the increase in your budget? The requested increase in your budget from last year to this year?
Yeah, most of it, Tim, is salary. I can't really predict yet what the DOJ settlement is going to be in its active negotiations, but I think to stay out of any type of consent decree and to move this department forward with the way they would like me to, it's going to be a couple positions anyway, and it's going to be some new technology in the fact that they want everything kept digitally and electronically retrievable. So we're going to have some software pickups and issues, and I don't know what else, but the other is going to be, it takes we're just about bare bones. I staff everything and maintain the squads. I maintain the ordinance and the C3 and what I can do. So when issues perk up, like a lot of shootings, murder, or the fireworks start to bother neighborhoods, or the dirt bikes come out, we can handle it. We've been doing good. It starts to eat my overtime budget.
Gotcha. And, okay, thanks for that. And what's the status of academies for this next fiscal year?
I'm looking to have an academy in the fall of 35. And if I can do that and complete that, that'll just about, by the time January rolls around and they graduate and I lose more, that's probably going to keep me at even keel. I try to get ahead of it, but we can. It's just, I'm just trying to keep my head above water here. We'll lose 35 between retirements, people going to state police, long-term IOD, long-term stick, and people that, for one reason or another, now I get a couple that'll just change their mind, and it's not the field they want to be in any longer. And if they haven't got many years vested here, like any time before, I've never seen this, but people will say it's not for me, thank you. So I'll need all 35 positions, hopefully in the fall, to get them out in January when I lose some more to retirement.
Okay, great. That's good. And yeah, I'm sorry I missed the earlier portion, but I'll catch up with you. Just thanks for all your continuing work, all you and your staff on responding to the DOJ report and keeping us safe every day. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Thank you, Tim. And also, you've been pretty faithful. Kathy Brown, East Springfield Neighborhood Council, has been on a lot of these meetings, and Juan LaTorre, the third, has also been on viewing on a lot of these meetings. So we appreciate that. And tomorrow, we're hopeful we will conclude my budget session, and then we will put the budget together, announce it, and get it over to Councilor Allen and his colleagues there, so they can do their due diligence, and we'll try to do it early as we've done it before. So TJ and Billy, I want to thank Billy Baker, my education director, for facilitating these meetings in finance. And Commissioner, is there anything else?
I don't think so, Mayor. I think that does it for us.
Okay. Be safe and stay healthy.